So, good evening, everyone. Welcome, and let us just take a moment of silence first before we start any reflection or reading. So, just gather ourselves, bring the mind back home in the body, mindful of our breath, very precious, and thankful for the body which is relatively functional, a mind which can understand and reflect upon these words. Invoking Mother and Aurobindo presence. So today we pick up the threads from where we have last left. Yeah. So we were, I think, the grosser topic on which we were discussing was other persons and forces, something like that.
Attacks from adverse forces.
Yes, yes. Thank you. So the grosser topic is other persons and forces, and within that we were reading, uh, yes, what Badalji just shared, attacks from adverse forces. This we had
Yes.
started last
Yes.
time. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Great. So let us pick up from here only, where we maybe if someone can read this full passage, then we can take up the reflections and questions.
Okay, I'll read.
Yes.
Attacks from adverse forces. Attacks from adverse forces are inevitable. You have to take them as tests on your way and go courageously through the ordeal. The struggle may be hard, but when you come out of it, you have gained something. You have advanced a step. There is even a necessity for the existence of the hostile forces. They make your determination stronger, your aspiration clearer. It is true, however, that they exist because you gave them reason to exist. So long as there is something in you which answers to them, their intervention is perfectly legitimate. If nothing in you responded, if they had not hold upon any part of your nature, they would retire and leave you. In any case, they need not stop or hamper your spiritual progress. In any case, when an attack comes, the wisest attitude is to consider that it comes from outside and to say, this is not myself and I will have nothing to do with it. You have to deal in the same way with all lower impulses and desires and all doubts and questionings in the mind. If you identify yourself with them, the difficulty in fighting them becomes all the greater. For then you have the feeling that you are facing the never easy task of overcoming your own nature. But once you are able to say, no, this is not myself, I will have nothing to do with it, it becomes much easier to disperse them.
Thank you. So yes, any thoughts or reflections, if anyone has at this moment, are welcome. So, adverse forces, many times we wonder what do we mean by adverse forces, and if there are any thoughts on that, so that we can have clarity on what do we mean here by adverse forces, they are welcome. So if anyone wants to share what is our understanding of adverse forces, uh, welcoming those reflections.
If I aspire something, aspiration, and I fixed the aspiration and I'm trying to move in that particular path, and then there are certain sort of restrictions comes from outside, some forces which is impeding my movement or resisting, put a resistance on my path. So those can be termed as adverse forces, which is not desired by me, but they're coming from outside, and they're because I've already decided that I must move in a particular path, aspiration or aim, but I'm not in a position to move that fast because of all these impediments.
Yes, yes. Yeah, anybody else? Any sharing on present understanding of adverse forces?
Yes.
Yeah.
To me, adverse forces, it feels like the adverse forces are sort of best friends with the lower vital. Like they are always, they are especially when there is a certain amount of power, like not just monetary or physical or any kind of power. There is this force that kind of, lifts that ego and says that, why not you? How could you be treated like this? And they then, they tend to make the individual do certain things which otherwise they wouldn't have done. And the moment it is done, they leave. It's not like they stay with it. The moment that the things are done, the damage is made, then they leave. They'll again come back. I'm forgetting something I received today. A mother is saying that you'll always have two channels to choose from, and it's again there's always the adverse or the negative channel that always comes along. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes. So Snehi shares, can adverse forces also mean old thought patterns coming from inside and not outside? Yeah, very nice. So yes, actually they would also fall into this category. So basically, as Badalji was sharing in the beginning, that anything which first of all is not desired by me anymore, although it is hanging around. Like say for example, there is a rotten smell in your house. Now the rotten thing you have taken out, it is not there in your house anymore, but the smell lingers on, although you don't want it, but it is there, you can't help it. So it's like an impression of that which lingers on for some time until time passes and that smell is not there. So these old thought patterns which earlier served me but now are hampering my progress and bringing me a lot of unease again and again and causing harm to myself and others, bringing suffering and misery to myself and others. Yes, these old thought patterns will also come in the category of adverse forces, and they are actually not coming from inside. They sure, this is the beautiful thing, as I think Jagan was also sharing in the last Friday study circle when we were reading the last half of this passage, that Aurobindo says that don't take it as your own self. These lower vital suggestions, or the jealousy, the ambition, the attachment, the anger to some person, attachment to a person, stickiness, if we keep on taking it as my own self, then it will become a struggle against my own self, that oh my god, it's so hard to change myself, like that. So that is why we have to view them clearly as they are coming from outside. कि जैसे दाल में कुछ काला होता है ना, वो दाल में काला, हम ये नहीं कहते कि वो जो काला है वो दाल का हिस्सा है, हम कहते हैं कि वो काला कहीं बाहर से गलती से पड़ गया, तो हम उस काले को उठा के बाहर कर देते हैं. बट इफ दैट काला बिकम्स अ पार्ट ऑफ द दाल, देन इट्स लाइक अ बिग स्ट्रगल दैट वी आर इनटू, कि भाई दाल कौन सी है और काला कौन सा है, हमें पता ही नहीं लग रहा. बट अगर ये पता लग रहा है कि काला बाहर से आया है और कभी कभी आता है, हमेशा नहीं आता, then we can actually look at it as not myself. This is what comes in the last passage, last half of this passage, which is very empowering. And if I see jealousy, ambition, attachment, desire, all of us have these things, the stains, as something coming from outside and not part of my intrinsic nature. And I have to kind of recognize that they are not doing me any good, and hence I do not follow their dictates, because they are adverse forces. Like they are, they coming adverse. हम कब बोलते हैं, जब हमारे बाउंड्री के बाहर से कुछ आ रहा होता है. जैसे मान लो इंडिया पे कोई कंट्री अटैक कर रही है ना, उसका हम नाम ले सकते हैं, ओके दिस इज एन एडवर्स फोर्स. बट इंडिया के अंदर ही अगर कोई स्ट्रगल हो रही है, तो उसको हम इट्स लाइक अ सम विद इन थिंग दैट इज हैपनिंग. So something is coming from outside. In Buddhism also, it's very interesting to see all these perspectives coming together. जब हम बात करते हैं हमारे बुद्धा नेचर की, तो कहते हैं कि बुद्धा नेचर इज समथिंग लाइक अ वेरी शाइनी वेसल. लाइक आपके पास एक पैन है स्टील का, एंड इट्स फुल ऑफ शाइन एंड वट एवर, सिल्वर पैन और वट एवर, स्टील पैन, full very shine and bright. Now what happens, over period of time, lot of muck accumulates on that pan, but that muck is exterior to that pan, it is not part of its nature, right? And that is why जब हम स्क्रब करते हैं, तो वो स्क्रब से क्या होता है, मक हट जाती है, और जो शाइन थी, जो पहले नहीं विजिबल थी, वो दिखने लग जाती है. तो बुद्धिज्म में कहते हैं कि all these stains like jealousy, greed, lust, and ambition, desire, attachment, worries, anxiety, name anything which is disturbing, it falls into that bouquet or that category. That is like stains on a vessel. It is coming from outside and not part of our true nature. That is why they make us so uneasy. Even when we are following their dictates, there is a restlessness within us. We know that something is wrong within me today. I'm not feeling okay. So we have to see them as coming from outside. That's what Aurobindo shares here, that don't identify with that muck. See it from coming from outside, and know that at times I come under its power, but it's not my true nature, because it doesn't make me feel easy. Slowly over period of years and experiences and turmoils and difficulties and challenges of many times, even following those dictates, because it brings you pleasure. Now attachment brings you pleasure before it brings you suffering. So it slowly we gain strength to realize that, oh, this attachment is actually not good for me or the other person, it is causing a lot of turmoil. मजा बहुत आता है अटैच होके किसी के साथ, but very soon it becomes into possession, dominion, wanting to control each other's life, always wanting to do things with each other, and trying to control and possess other person's life. So then it becomes suffering. So that which was pleasurable before, it becomes suffering very soon. So slowly, when we realize through our life experiences what is happening out of following the dictates of attachment, then we are able to see it as coming from outside. Before that, it doesn't happen. I'm not able to discard it. So that sense that it is coming from outside empowers us, है ना? Even old thought patterns, what are they also came from outside, बट मैंने उनको अपना लिया क्योंकि उस समय वो बहुत बेनिफिशियल लग रहे थे। किसी समय में लगा कि वाह इसका तो बड़ा काम है ना? तो तुम्हारे कान में आके किसी ने कुछ बोला, एक थॉट आई कान के अंदर, बजी, इट्स लाइक बज, कुछ कह रही है तुम्हें, तुम्हें लगा हाँ अभी तो बड़ा फायदा है इसका, आपने अपना ली उस थॉट को, है ना? कि कुछ उसका मोटिव होगा, कुछ एजेंडा पूरा होगा। अब आप कुछ सालों तक उसको रिपीट करते रहे, आप वो पैटर्न रिपीट करते रहे, देन इट बिकेम माई थॉट पैटर्न, है ना? और अब वो थॉट पैटर्न आपको दे रहा है तकलीफ। तो अब हम करते हैं कि भैया करें तो करें क्या, इतने पुराने थॉट पैटर्न्स हमने कब उठा लिए, कितने सालों से उठा के हम ये बोझ ढो रहे हैं, हमें पता भी नहीं। अब लगता है कि नहीं, ये तो बोझ छोड़ना पड़ेगा, we'll have to unburden ourselves. And Sri Aurobindo talks about this, that these patterns or whatever which we may call adverse force right now, it will not leave us very soon, because sometimes in our lives they have done some benefit to us. तो उनका प्रभुत्व है, वो कहते हैं बड़े हक से वो आते हैं, अरे हम तो अपने घर में आए हैं क्योंकि उन्होंने आपकी हेल्प करी है किसी एक टाइम में। अब आप कह रहे हो कि एकदम से हट जाओ, तो वो नहीं जाने को तैयार, उनको अपना हक लगता है हमारे घर पे। घर मीन्स दिस बॉडी एंड माइंड, सो इट टेक्स टाइम एंड लॉट्स ऑफ ब्लोज एंड एक्सपीरियंसेस दैट these patterns leave us, or we are ready to actually ignore them completely, so that we don't buy into their dictates anymore. Yeah, so that was something on that old thought pattern. Yeah, anything more, anyone?
Ma'am, a couple of things here. You know, the first thing is how actually, you know what? I sort of forgot. I'll talk again. Sorry.
Okay, take your time. Yes, Nandini, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I had written on that, when mother says about depression, right, that it is a acute sense of egoism. So given that, the things are much volatile now, and mental health is such a big is thing. So when somebody is going through it, or somebody is, so how does one relate to that? Because just having a very simple understanding of what mother is saying, but also to relate when you address it. Obviously you address it as a, from their viewpoint, what they're going through, or as you said, all these things are sticking to them, and therefore they are going through something, right? Because attachment is always there as as the person experiencing it, and they don't know that this is what mother has said, or they're not aware of anything of that sort. So how does that sort of relate over here, just to understand from a very you know this perspective? So
Yeah, would anyone want to share anything on this, what Nandini has shared? We make actually things very complicated for ourselves. Very complicated. Very complicated. So that's why depression, जिसकी आप बात कर रहे हो, again that also becomes very complicated. So it's not like depression has many shades. Some shades of depression are milder, where the person may be actually able to understand and reflect that yes, this is what I am doing, and that is why I am going down and down into this dark cloud that has come over me. So, but many a times depression goes to such extremes that the person may lose the mental stability and the ability to reflect over one's state. And of course, there are clinical states, kind of phases of depression, and where you actually have to use then some drugs because nothing is helping. You know? and we don't know how better that case gets, because we really make things very complicated for us. And this can be actually one of our motivations, looking at the situation, that how complicated a case can get. Let me just catch the threads at very first instance where I see something is wrong within me. This can be very motivating for us to practice in general, just talking about it. So in depression, even if we talk to a therapist, उसके भी बड़े डिग्रीज ऑफ लाइक क्लिनिकल साइकियाट्री भी हो सकती है, साइकोथेरेपी भी हो सकती है ना, बहुत सारी psychology, again these aspects which all of them function variously for various individuals. डिपेंड करता है हम कहाँ से रिसीव करने, कौन सा झरोखा है हमारे अंदर जो खुला हुआ है, तो कुछ खुला होता है तो कुछ अंदर जाता है ना। और अल्टीमेटली क्रक्स ऑफ द मैटर अगर हम देखेंगे, सब अपने अपने आप को देखें, है ना, अगर हम अपने आप को देखेंगे कब हम डिप्रेसिव फील करते हैं, इवन इफ नॉट रियली क्लिनिकली डिप्रेसिव, लाइक इन मूड डिप्रेशन, जब हमारा फोकस बहुत ज्यादा हमारे ऊपर आ जाता है। Because if you remove the story of me from your head, there is no chance of depression staying. क्योंकि वही तो है जो मेरी दुविधा का कारण है, मैं और मेरी कहानी। So when mother says depression is a sign of acute egoism, this separate self that I think as me has just been taken over me. पूरा मेरा जो माइंड है उसी की कहानियों से भरा हुआ है, और क्या मेरे साथ अच्छा नहीं हुआ, कितना मैंने लोगों के लिए किया और लोगों ने मुझे वापस नहीं दिया, लोग कितनी मुझे रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं नहीं करते, मैं दैट इज ईगोइज्म। और हम देखेंगे कि जब भी हम मूडी फील कर रहे होते हैं, इवन मूडी, which may be initial kind of sign or symptom of later on culmination into depression, we will see that if not for this me, you cannot be unhappy. It is impossible. You can be of course unhappy कि अगर मान लो if somebody is suffering, है ना, वो अलग बात है, that's an empathetic kind of where you take a stand for somebody suffering, that's a different one, that's sensitivity, मैं उसकी बात नहीं कर रही। मैं अभी ये कह रही हूँ कि जब अपने रीजन की वजह से, हमारी कहानियों की वजह से जब हम प्रॉब्लम में होते हैं, मूडी होते हैं, डिप्रेस्ड होते हैं, हमारा फोकस अपने ऊपर होता है। ये बहुत सिंपल क्लियर चीज है, जो हम फर्स्ट स्टेजेस में रिकॉग्नाइज कर लें तो अकल आ जाएगी। प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है, because of whatever the lifestyles that we have, or the way that we live, we are not able to kind of catch it in the first stages, and it goes on and on and on and on, and really worsens and gets very complicated, that only some medicine or drug has to be used to make conditions a little stabler for us. It's quite challenging case, है ना। Jetsunma shares that meditation, for example, we cannot prescribe meditation to a depressive patient at times. It becomes too overwhelming for the patient.
No. Right. Yeah. I thought on those lines only, but yeah, this is more sort of clarity in that. Yes. Because given that, yes, there is people who do come up with it, or at least, it has been in the last couple of years, the word has also taken up quite a bit of, I mean, it has taken up a lot of space in the space of mental health, right? And therefore,
अब देखो ना, मतलब मेंटल हेल्थ की जब हम बात करते हैं, हमारी अगर एजुकेशन देखें, मेनी थिंग्स आर इंटीग्रेटेड। इफ वी लुक एट द सब्जेक्ट्स दैट वी स्टडी इन स्कूल फॉर 14 years, 12, 14, whatever years, how much kind of weightage, or how much hours do we give to everyday reflection on, say, words of saints and sages, say taming the monkey mind? How much emphasis, bringing our attention back to the breath and calming the mind, relaxing the mind. We will see that it is very, very rare. Now it may be coming up, many people are doing a good job, and it must come up because of the surge of this mental illnesses and everything. Now we are realizing the importance of it, because in the meantime, with lots of consumerism and lots of money, we lost touch with this practice of mindfulness. It is coming back. It has to come back. Otherwise, we'll go mad. And what have we done? Havoc on the earth, the planet itself, full of garbage. We have made it just because of this excessive focus on that I can fulfill myself from something outside, subjects or respect or positions or money. So yeah, so as we begin to give a little bit of weightage to that, है ना, ये सारा हमारी कल्चर में रहा हुआ है. अब इंडियन कल्चर को देखोगे, गुरुकुल आइडियोलॉजी को देखोगे, ये सब हमने, है ना, दिस हैज बीन पार्ट ऑफ आवर कल्चर. वी फॉरगॉट इट फॉर सम टाइम. Now it has to come back because it's very important to be here in the body, and then of course do everything that we do.
It's very nicely spoken about the school. Actually, I attended school in 60s and college also, of course, in 60s. So this awareness and all this were of very less degree, actually, what we have today. Situation is entirely different. But what I used to see, that majority of us in the school, the village school, after the class, if you ask somebody what was being taught, what was being discussed, we don't know anything. Means it was almost 100% out, because mind is always, that monkey mind is always outside. So only very few exceptional cases, maybe 5% or 10%. I do not know the exact percentage of it. So, but when I went to college, we are told by teachers, see, now we are going to college and you will not be getting that much of attention from the teaching staff and all this and all this. But what I saw, there was one professor who was teaching us biology, and there are about 120 to 150 students in the class. But that model teaching, this is that eyeball to eyeball contact types or something like that. So, and his classes are such, after his class, you go out and you will be able to repeat what he was talking about. And you need not to go and again read or by heart or something at home or something. The way of teaching and capturing the students' mind, actually. So majority of the problems which we are facing are the outside forces, unwanted forces which are coming and disturbing us. This is actually created by us, and they are indwelling actually, indwelling. So definitely it is a very difficult task to get rid of them, because we have given them accommodation and food and all this, and suddenly you cannot say just get out. And so that is the problem for us, actually, what we are facing. Otherwise, the life is very simple. It could be made very simple, but we made it very complex. We made it very complex ourselves. Nothing to blame to anybody. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? Anything?
Yeah. So I was going to say that, when an individual possesses this, like, a certain capacity of some sort, there is always an adverse force that acts on him, including the good forces. So I always question that. Question that, why does mother say that, be an instrument of the divine, and why is it not about oneself? Like, why can I not be always about myself? Why should I be an instrument? And then I also used to simultaneously think that, why does evolution take so many billion years? Why doesn't it happen in a few years? And then I start to realize that, I don't start to realize, there's this realization that slowly is coming, that the adverse forces, the 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 primary element that they steal from the being is the being's time. Beyond that, materializing the thoughts and everything, that's a bonus, I feel. Like, my desires, let's say I have a desire to, to get something, and something. before I materialize this desire, I'm attending to this desire, thinking about it, searching for it, doing all these things. And what is happening during this process is I'm wasting a lot of time. And that is, I feel that that is the most important goal for these adverse forces, because by wasting my time, how many years am I going to live? If I'm really healthy, if I'm really I'm living long in 100 years at most, let's say. So 100 years, it is going to waste the most important years of my life by just putting me in these thoughts and making me revolve around myself, only around myself. I still have some years in my life that I don't even remember. I don't even have any memories with those years. So I think that is the biggest thing that these adverse forces do. And beyond that, again, if I'm materializing these thoughts or desires and everything, that again, that's a different complex issue I'm putting myself into. But yeah, so that's all I wanted to share.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, very true. Very true. जो मेन मुद्दा होता है वो हट जाता है सामने से और वही जो छोटे छोटे इश्यूज हैं वो इतने बड़े बड़े विकराल रूप लेके दिखने लगते हैं. What you said, that we really waste actually so much of time thinking that those issues are really very important and need to be attended, and I have to think about that, and how can I not? Really, it eats up half of our life, maybe more. Yeah.
But also, what I think what Jagan was saying, see, sometimes mudda samne hi hota hai na? Like, it's right there in front of you. You know it that these are the, like, great masters have done it, right? I mean, who, I mean, didn't think, like, a couple of days back, there was a conversation behind. It was a very, yes, I understand it's important. Some people do try, like life insurance, you know? But the thing is, so that was the conversation. But and in my head, I was thinking कि हम क्यों इसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, right? Because we attach so much of importance to something like simple, life insurance, right? We forget in the process that the life that we are leading, if we just focused on that, and because we focus on these things, somehow, I don't know, maybe, I mean, in my head, this was, well, like, we are just inviting more and more issues with health. We are inviting, we're talking about death being there in the corner. Maybe if it is not even your time at that time, right? I mean, uh, you're worrying about your family. What will they do? What will happen to them? I mean, yes, in a very social setting, you cannot say those things. And I don't say, but I'm just thinking that hamare samne, there has been a goal given to us, right? Even when we are small, when we see our grandparents, or at least your relatives or whatever, who knew that there was a path to follow, but in the process sometimes you get sort of lost, and then, yeah, and to find that path again, you have to go through this churning to uh, probably figure that out. Yeah. But
Very
yeah,
true.
that's what, like Jagan said, kitne saal lag jate hain, no? I mean, it is sometimes you think that, yes, you wish that someone like a master would come and, say, hey, no, this is not important. This is.
True.
So,
I think this we also use the word ignorance or this blindness because we keep forgetting. है ना, अभी कुछ हुआ होगा हमारी लाइफ में and maybe the pain is fresh and I realize that how important this human life is, human birth is, and that I have to transcend the ego and tame the mind, and everything may be very fresh. Very soon, if things become okay and I'm not very uneasy and not suffering, pleasant relatively, thing, there is a kind of a complacency that comes, or tamas pulls us down, so we again forget the very precious lesson that I may have learned through my difficult phase. And that is why, as mother shares in this passage, that we keep inviting these blows. because I forget, है ना. अब हमने देखा होगा अपनी लाइफ में, हम कभी कभी इतने सिंसियर और सीरियस हो जाते हैं, है ना, कि नहीं मुझे इस ह्यूमन जन्म का अच्छा हमने मुझे यूज करना है. You know, I see that the mind is so distracted and scattered. It is not tamed. I have to tame my mind. And we begin a discipline for ourselves, which we continue maybe for 10 days or whatever, you know, maximum, whatever days, you know, you think about your own self. And then we again, you know, things become okay, I'm not suffering. And again, there is a blindness, a curtain of blindness that comes, and I forget that sincerity or that importance of precious human birth or this wastage of time that we were talking, you know. And that is why again a blow comes or some adverse happening comes which reminds me that, oh, you know, काम अभी पूरा नहीं हुआ, ये क्या हो गया, मुझे नशा कैसे आ गया, you know, क्योंकि टाइम टू टाइम हमें नशा आ जाता है. This is what I feel at times, that this is what they call ignorance, because again and again it blinds us. Maya ka jaise curtain of, you know, this something else becomes more important than वही जो मुद्दे की बात हो रही थी, वो मुद्दा एकदम से फिर, है ना, it some obscurity comes through which I can't see clearly. From time to time we keep having these obscure phases, and then again some happening comes, some tragedy, some difficult patch that I have to go through, है ना. Then it reminds me that, oh, you know, I actually lost a track, what was I up to. That I have to tame my mind, and the mind is not tamed, and I again keep on going into patterns and thoughts, and I have no control over this mind. And then again we may prim and proper ourselves, and then a more sincere phase may follow. So yes. Yes,
So,
any points? Yes.
yeah, is that what mothers, one of the quote, I think it was put up couple of days back, that in all the, you know, in being sincere, we notice 100 insincerities that so uh, is there I mean, just an example, Monica, is there yeah, like, could you give an example?
You see, I feel that we may have images of ourselves, that how truly I am trying to walk on the path, right? We have images about ourselves in the mind, that, oh, I am really now trying really good, you know, I am sincere in my efforts. These images come automatically, we don't have to form them, they just keep forming, and we keep believing without questioning and without taming the mind. It's a default process that we keep believing in these images, that yes, you know, I'm doing the sadhana sincerely, and that person is less sincere than me, and that person may be a little more sincere. So all these images keep forming in our mind, which have no actually relation to absolute truth, but they keep forming. Now when some adverse situation happens, and I am now stuck in the middle of a very uneasy situation within myself, because of my attachment or anger or jealousy, or, you know, too much attention on other people or friends or whatever, co-travelers, at times it happens. Then what we see is that there was many insincerities hidden, like you were wanting something from somebody, you know, you had attachment to a person, or you wanted that respect or name in that work that you did, and because that did not come, now you are feeling so disappointed. So if we are looking at ourselves honestly, then we see that I am not honest. At various places I am not honest, I am insincere, I am saying something else, but I am actually hidden beneath the layers are many limiting beliefs which I have never questioned. That I am saying that I don't want anything from others, but I'm still wanting respect and approval and whatever, love and, you know, affection or whatever. That is why disappointment comes. Otherwise, what is the need of me to get disappointed if beneath that there was not an expectation to get approval? So that is why mother says that the moment, for example, we have disappointment, है ना कुछ हमारी एक्सपेक्टेशन होगी ही होगी, अदरवाइज देर इज नो चांस फॉर डिसअपॉइंटमेंट. अब वो क्या है, वो मुझे अपनी इंटेरोगेशन करके पता लगेगा कि मैंने क्या पकड़ा हुआ था, तो ये मेरी insincerity है जो मुझे धीरे धीरे अपने turmoils के through, and you connected it rightly, that through my turmoils and these kind of phases only I get to know about my insincerity. So I invite these kind of turmoils. It's very good that they happen in retrospect, because how would I get to know what was hiding beneath the surface? And that is why Jetsunma shares that take everything on the path. These challenges have to be taken on the path, because they are the ones telling me that I was so insincere and I was thinking I am so sincere. So it's very good. And if we are able to take a good lesson out of those, really, truly, if we are able to learn anything out of those, we feel grateful. Gratitude comes automatically in our heart, that thank goodness for showing me that insincerity in me, which I would not have seen otherwise if not for this turmoil. कि अभी भी इस बच्चे से, इस बंदे से अटैचमेंट थी, अच्छा अभी भी मुझे लगता था आई एम द डूअर हियर, है ना? तो ये कैसे पता लगता है हमको? अपने बुरे फेजेस से ही तो पता लगता है कि अभी डूअरशिप है और एक्सपेक्टेशन है. तो अच्छा है दैट दीज फेजेस कम, बिकॉज दे मेक अस मोर एंड मोर लाइक, दे हमारी रगड़ाई करते हैं हमारी, दे स्क्रब अस हार्ड.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is anything more here? So just going over the passage once more, and please feel free to share or unmute at any moment of time. So attacks from adverse forces are inevitable. You have to take them as tests on your way and go courageously through the ordeal. The struggle may be hard, but when you come out of it, you have gained something. You have advanced a step. And there is even a necessity for the existence of the hostile forces. They make your determination stronger, your aspiration clearer. कभी कभी होता है हमारा जो दिमाग है वो किसी और की बातों से बहुत ज़्यादा भर जाता है ना? होता है कि आप, ऑफ कोर्स वी आर इंटरेक्टिंग विद पीपल ऑल द टाइम, और चाहे प्यार प्यार में या झगड़े में या just a neutral kind of interaction, we see that our mind becomes very clouded with lots of thoughts about that person. We must have seen at times, various instances, it keeps on happening. Now, the moment we look, if we are doing any little sadhana with ourselves, and if we look at our mind, we will be able to see that why is my mind so full of these thoughts? It means still, I get distracted. So, and the moment that I see that I'm getting distracted, again I can bring myself mindfully to the present moment. So if I'm feeling an unease or a headache of too much thoughts and mental disturbance in the mind, or too much turmoil in the feeling level, then and if I notice that, then it's a very good moment to recognize what the mother shares here, what I was just reading. They make your determination stronger. So अब मुझे पता लगता है कि ओ, मतलब इसे ही तो कहते हैं मंकी माइंड. अभी तो यहाँ पे था, अभी तो ब्रेथ के साथ था, अभी कहाँ चला गया, मतलब कौन सी कहानियों में और कौन सी इमेजेस में खो गया एकदम से, और इतना कि 2 घंटे 3 घंटे पूरा दिन निकल गया, और अब मुझे रियलाइज हो रहा है कि where was I lost, and the moment we recognize that I was lost, and there is a conviction that I don't want to remain there because it brings lots of, at times, pleasantness, but lots of disappointment also, so then we can again make our conviction stronger, that let me spend some time, disciplined manner, every day, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, I will tame my mind. It is very necessary. So that make our determination stronger when we notice their turmoil. Yes, Charuji, you want to share?
Yeah.
Yes.
Monica, actually the problem is, after getting lost, see, yesterday it happened, we were traveling, somewhere, and, there is a person in our family we always, talk about, and which is not good always, there is nothing to feel good about it. We always feel that hurt. And yesterday, since morning, my husband and myself told, no, let us not talk about that person. So within half an hour, we both started talking and we laughed. No, not next time, not next time. See, till evening, it continued. But after talking about him only, we realized, oh, no. We have challenged, no, let us not talk, let us not talk. But at night, 9 o'clock, we found, so he was about to say something. Then I said, no, I'm not going to react. Then why? He said, we were, talking about it since morning, but again and again we are coming into the same point. But I was laughing at myself. See, after getting into the topic only, I'm realizing that I'm going there. Before talking, why can't I be quiet? No? It was very difficult. Just now you mentioned this monkey mind. It is, in the world, everything can be controlled except this monkey mind. It was my yesterday's realization. This is too much. Actually, we can change that person. We cannot change our thoughts and feelings about him. So it was a nice game yesterday. But still, we couldn't succeed. Maybe at the 10th time. At least one thought came, let us not talk about that person. This goes for everything, no?
True, very true. Very good example. And I think when two people are talking about, I think last time Badarji had shared about that 21-day no complaint challenge. I think it's a beautiful experiment to do with oneself, because that's where we see that how much we need to first work on ourselves, not talk about others. And now what you are sharing, when two people are talking about a person, you must have seen all of our experiences. We can actually tell about ourselves that we feel very empowered, like we feel like we are together in this. So you and your husband, like in this case, let us take an example that you're putting in front for us. You must have felt very together, because we are one party and now we are talking about the other party. So it is a feeling, at times we also do these kind of gossips to feel oneness with each other. It's our ignorant way. What can we do? We feel like a bonding together in kind of degrading the other person, which may have actually of course no correlation with truth. And we know ourselves so little, how can we claim to know other people at all? So of course these are our perceptions only, but old habits die really, really hard. This is for us to see. They really die hard, and the more we give them fodder, as mother shares, that actually you are the ones inviting them. But this is a very good realization, because they die in time. So the very fact that you are able to notice it, and you are able to notice कि ये कुछ हो रहा है जो ठीक नहीं हो रहा है, something is happening which should not happen. I think that itself is a beginning that very soon it will, or must at least, stop.
Yeah.
But at least from our side, we can try our best, because this is not actually what Jagan was sharing. It's a wastage of time.
Yes,
We
definitely.
must have better things to do with our time, really. And that is why mother has said that only in work, divine's work, there must be true repose. Repose is a relaxation. Now gossiping is our way of relaxing, or watching TV is our way of relaxing, right? We have to
Yeah.
find better ways of relaxing. We just
True.
have to change our taste, and slowly we
Yeah.
do. Slowly we do. But it takes time at times, and there are many die hard habits which they're just not ready to leave us, and we are not actually ready to leave them. But when we are compelled, that is why we say that we must give lots of work to ourselves, that you don't have time now to think about these things. कि आपके पास इतना काम आ गया, सोचो आपके पास ट्रांसलेशन और वॉट एवर यू डू, देयर ट्रांसलेशंस ऑफ दीज टेक्स्ट, गुड टेक्स्ट, आपके पास इतना काम आ गया कि आपके पास आपके हस्बैंड आ रहे हैं कहने के लिए कि चलो बात करते हैं, आप कह रहे हो नहीं मैं बाद में बात करूंगी, अभी मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है, so you put it aside.
Yeah.
We have to actually flood ourselves with work, good work, so that there is hardly any time for attending to these things, and slowly these tastes will change. Like a dirty cup full of dirty water. Now one way is you keep emptying it and keep emptying it, it again fills with filth and dirt. That is one way. Other way is keep flooding it with the water of Ganga river. Keep flooding with that kind of intensity. So you
How
have a
beautiful.
dirty cup in hand which has lots of filth and muck in it, but you are now taking the other route, which is lots of tremendous flow of Ganga river is pouring over it all the time. In time, it will have to lose its steam. So fill your time up with lots of. I personally use this practice. I do lots of transcriptions because it's like a detoxification for my whole being. I can either sit about things happening in my life. Of course, I have always that possibility, and things do become overwhelming on this or that matter every now and then. But what am I giving importance to? मुझे पता है कि वो चलती रहेंगी. They are never ending things.
Yeah.
Things about my relatives or about my life or my children or my family or whatever, name it. है ना? But as Jagan was sharing कि time भी तो कम है. तो मैं क्या कहाँ टाइम मैं लगाना चाह रही हूँ, मैं उसमें टाइम लगाना चाहूंगी या इसमें. तो आई हैव सीन दैट इफ वी कंटिन्यू टू वर्क, actually our taste will change, and you will have 2 hours of an empty time, but you will not feel like clicking on a Netflix or a YouTube video because you just don't want to do that. You just have done that enough, or enter into gossip. You won't be able to do that, so it becomes irreversible after some time when your taste will change. And then also parallelly you will recognize the benefit of these things, that yes, these practices make myself very sorted and organized and clear within, and this is now what I want for myself. I don't want more uneasiness and unhappiness. So slowly in time, things happen and we are able to work and change our habits, old habits. They happen. It becomes irreversible then.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Monica. I think this was very nice. And I'm reminded of one more incident because Sarda ji just mentioned this. And I think I agree with whatever Captain's earlier recommendation of that 21 days, no complaints, and whatever, Monica, you have also said now. But I remember whenever we used to meet, as friends, a group of ladies, and invariably, if that one person, who's a bit odd in the group, and if that person doesn't come, everybody starts talking, and, it starts as very uh, mild and not so malicious, but eventually, everybody's putting their input, and it's a camaraderie. Like you mentioned, no, it's a friendship, like, you're talking about something. So it becomes like a camaraderie thing, and everybody is giving their 2 bits, and it becomes later at a point very ugly because everybody's, like a bully targeting one person who's not present. I remember during one such meetings, there was this other lady who had come in, who's like a life coach. She works in a corporate, like an HR thing or something, and she mentors employees. And she said, she just intervened this whole conversation, and she said, would any one of y'all say this to her on her face? So there was like pin drop silence when she said that, because suddenly everybody was thinking, would anybody really go up and tell her, okay, this is what you are and this is wrong and this is not what you should be doing? If so, she said what she said eventually, because there was pin drop silence. She said, whatever you have to say about a person, if you cannot say that to their face, then this is not something that you should talk behind their face. So I think this recommendation is something that, I have to keep reminding myself, because we all fall into bad habits and bad patterns, that if you do not have the courage to call a spade in front of that person, or talk that, okay, this is something that I do not like about you, or this does not resonate, or, this is something that, does not fit in well with the group. If you do not have the courage to say that to that person, then let's not talk about it behind the back, but because then what is the purpose of it, right? The person is not improving. It is just gossip then. This is something that we need to identify.
Yeah, very true, very true. In sadhana, in integral yoga, mother says that gossip is like, actually, it's like killing your sadhana, actually. It's very, very considered very dangerous, extremely dangerous. And in ordinary consciousness, it's a habit. But if we are consciously trying to do work with ourselves, because we slowly also realize that how little we understand our own self, how can we comment on any appearance? So, in the 11 points towards the journey towards our psychic being or soul consciousness, the first point that Mother refers to is this, that mind cannot judge by appearances, and it is impossible to believe in any commentary that the mind is giving about people around us or events that are happening. So don't believe in that, because the more we believe in that, we again get strayed and lost and uh, go away actually from our true consciousness. So this is it's a point which becomes very dangerous if we are consciously walking on the path. It doesn't appear to be dangerous when, as you said, these are our habits. When in our ordinary consciousness, they appear like, अरे ये नहीं करेंगे तो क्या करेंगे? बैठे इकट्ठे तो बात तो करेंगे ना? So in ordinary consciousness, it appears like, अच्छा यही तो है life. This is what life is about. You talk about them, they talk about you, and it's okay. But in sadhana, it becomes really dangerous, because it also takes away the focus from ourselves. आपका फोकस अब दूसरा बंदा हो गया. And what the one point that you shared, which Mother also shares, that never talk about any other person or one person's defects. Only talk when you have the capacity to change or transform that person. वही आपने बोला, अगर आपके पास कैपेसिटी नहीं है उससे बात करने की, डिस्कस करने की, या उसको चेंज करने की, if you feel that you are helpless and the other person is like a wall and you won't be heard, then what's the point of discussing? And if you don't have anything that you can do, then actually don't go there. It's a very weird zone where you will get lost and trapped. So yeah, it's a zone of extreme carefulness that we have to cultivate here. So in integral yoga, if we again read, those of us who are interested, letters on yoga 3 and 4, I think, we will see that this is an absolute no. To first of all, too much have emotional interactions with each other, because they also stray you. We are sticky beings, we become sticky to each other. है ना? तो even in the name of spiritual friendships, we stick to each other, है ना? तो फिर वो फोकस भगवान या ट्रुथ नहीं रह जाता, फोकस एक्चुअली दूसरा बंदा या कंपनी हो जाती है. ये होता है अक्सर. So in integral yoga, this is not recommended to vitally engage too much with each other at the emotional level, and only the conversations which are required, which say, for example, like these are discussions which are questions and answers and doubts that we are clarifying. That's it. Too much getting into each other is not advisable, because we are sticky, and things can get very entangled and complicated for ourselves rather than becoming easier. Yeah, so we'll just continue and finish what we were reading. So the second one, it is true, however, they exist because you gave them reason to exist. So long as there is something in you which answers to them, their intervention is perfectly legitimate. If nothing in you responded, if they had no hold upon any part of your nature, they would retire and leave you. In any case, they need not stop or hamper your spiritual progress. So, if adverse cases or situations happen where we are under attack or overwhelm of a dark cloud, they need not stop my spiritual progress. I can take them as a learning on the path, that why did I invite this situation in the very first place? So actually they are not stopping, and that is what Jetsunmo also shares, that take everything is to be taken on the path. All the challenges and turmoils and the attachments and the greed and the anger, name it, and it can be taken on the path. It's like making compost. You can put eggshells in there, you can put orange peels in there, all the rubbish you can put in compost, and it will turn into something which is very helpful for growth of plants. So everything that we consider as ugly, is not going to hamper spiritual progress, but actually it may advance it even if we take the required learning from that experience. In any case, when an attack comes, the wisest attitude is to consider that it comes from outside and to say, this is not myself and I will have nothing to do with it. You have to deal in the same way with all lower impulses and desires. Now, here we can actually use example of what Charuji was sharing regarding the thought of talking about a person. It starts as a thought. Now, in Savitri, there is one particular line which attracts me again a lot, amongst other lines. It is, a whisper lures to evil human heart. So, these kind of lower impulses come like a whisper. They say something to us. If we are not mindful and attentive, we can't stop it there. And we will go into the slippery slope, and then, as Sardhaji was sharing, later on realize that, oh, why did I do that? But with time and practice, there also comes a possibility that the moment that desire or want to gossip about someone, or a feeling of attachment and wanting more pleasure through something in my life is coming in my ear, at that very moment I can stop myself and put myself into something which is, say, divine work, or something more, a good taste. It's very challenging. I know that when we have weaker spots, it's very challenging. But with time, it comes with us, comes to us, that we can recognize it at the whisper level. A whisper lures to evil the human heart. है ना? At the whisper level, you can recognize कि ये देखो, अब ये मेरे कान में आके बस बस हो रहा है, और मैंने इसकी जैसी बात सुनी, मैंने बहुत किया ये. So we have to see. This is how our pain and sufferings help. Because if you have done that enough and suffered through that enough, then next time the whisper is coming into your ear, you will say, भैया माफ करो, आगे जाओ. बहुत तुमको जी लिया. Now you will not be able to put any fodder to it, to that. But in the beginning, when it is very attractive and juicy and wants to give us some rasa and delight, we are not able to stop ourselves. So after doing, we realize that, oh, it has left a bad taste. It was not a right thing to do. Later on, we realize that something has happened which should not have happened, and even that is one of a progressive step. That next time I'll be more careful. So like that, we become more subtler and subtler in recognizing all these extraneous matter which is coming from outside. It's like an earthquake meter. Earthquake meter, if it is not very sensitive, it will not be able to see very low Richter scale movements. But if it is very sensitive, then it will be able to, even a little bit of tha, like a little bit, very 0.5, minute, doesn't do any damage. You will be able to notice that something came from outside. So slowly we kind of cultivate that much of purity in our being, that we are able to see even little bit of extraneous matter as, okay, something entered in my being or tried to enter. Requires a lot of purity. And that is how we lose bad tastes. है ना, जब हम पुराने टेस्ट छोड़ देते हैं, गंदे टेस्ट छोड़ देते हैं, फिर जैसे ही बाहर से गंदा टेस्ट आने लगता है, उसी समय पता लग जाता है, नहीं, ये कुछ गड़बड़ घोटाला है, ठीक नहीं है. So this is not myself and I will have nothing to do with it. You will have to deal in the same way with all lower impulses. So in the beginning, they are not feeling lower impulses at all. In the beginning, they feel very beneficial to me. They appear. आप देखो ना, हमारे घर में जो सारा सामान पड़ा है ना, देखिए अपने घर के कोने कोने में अगर हम देखें, एक एक सामान जो हमने लिया है, उसके पीछे एक कहानी होगी. अरे ये मैंने अरुणाचल प्रदेश से उठाया था, ये मुझे यहाँ से मिला था, ये मेरे दोस्त ने दिया था. जब वो आ रहा होता है तो वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, बहुत प्रेशियस होता है. तब वो ऐसा नहीं लगता कि ये कबाड़ बन जाएगा किसी एक दिन मेरे घर में. And now then comes a time after many years कि लगता है कि भैया ये इतना सामान मैंने इकट्ठा कैसे कर लिया, ये हुआ कब ये और मैं इसको दूं किसको, because now it's not of value to me anymore. So these lower impulses, now we can call them lower impulses when we are suffering because of them, but when they are coming to us, they don't appear as lower impulses, they appear like menka. जब ऋषि
Ma'am,
मुनि.
you're not audible. Yeah, now you're audible.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So like Rishi Munis will do sadhana and a menka will appear. So menka doesn't appear like a lower impulse, it appears very beautiful, and one doesn't know how to say no to a menka, right? So this is the challenge, and that is why pain and suffering come, because when I invite menka to my house and then now she wants to marry me and have children with me, and then things happen and things become painful, then I realize that, oh my god, maybe not the right idea. So through our pain and suffering we realize that what we invited in our house was actually not needed at all. Later on it's a realization. So this is a very good realization for us, that when they are happening to us, they don't appear like lower impulses. This is the Maya. This is the curtain of obscurity in front. इसे ही माया कहते हैं ना, in one sense, कि वो लगती नहीं है कि कुछ उल्टा लेके जाएगी तुमको, वो लगती बड़ी अच्छी है ना, कि अरे ये मैं अब जैसे कोई अवार्ड दे रहा है मुझे, वी हैव अ कपल ऑफ जैसे मेटालिक अवार्ड्स दैट पीपल गिव यू, राइट? संस्कृत में आपको फर्स्ट पोजीशन मिली है ना, और अपने मार्च पास्ट में आपको सब फर्स्ट पोजीशन मिली. नाउ यू हैव अ मेडल. व्हेन दैट मेडल और सर्टिफिकेट इज कमिंग, इट अपीयर्स वेरी प्रेशियस. It is only after 30-40 years, when now you don't know what to do with that medal, it's just a piece of metal, and now I can actually give for recycling into the metal category, because it is of no meaning to me anymore. It is just a kabad lying, junk lying at home. So slowly we realize that, and this is what we were discussing earlier, our old thought patterns and old things that may have given delight to me earlier, but now they are not needed. Now I have delight coming from somewhere else. So this we have to recognize for ourselves, that in the name of having some delight and pleasure, what am I inviting home? Are they needed? Just finishing this particular one, knowing that lower impulses do not feel like lower impulses when they are coming, and even desires feel very fruitful, that oh, I have to follow this. So you have to deal in the same way with all lower impulses and desires and all doubts and questionings in the mind. So this can be said to a person who is now wanting to shed them off. Now I have lived them enough. If you identify yourself with them, the difficulty in fighting them becomes all the greater, for then you have the feeling that you are facing the never easy task of overcoming your own nature. So I don't have to say that, oh, this is me, oh, I am so timid, oh, I am so kind of tucha, or my mind is always corrupt. No, we don't need to say these things, because then we are taking a big burden on ourselves. We just have to connect with our own obscurities and see them as collective obscurities, that oh, this is what happens when one has attachment in the being. So we identify with human collective consciousness through our own challenges. Then it becomes easier for us to overcome. But once you are able to say, no, this is not myself, I will have nothing to do with it, it becomes much easier to disperse them. So this is, as was shared last time also, that this is very empowering, that my true nature is not muck. My true nature is the Buddha nature, or a shiny utensil. But right now there is a dark cloud, but that's not who I truly am. I will in time be able to overpower and transcend whatever I am dealing with right now. And same goes for the other person. Now we were talking of gossip. The other person also has clouds and obscurities. So if I have Buddha nature as my true nature, then that other person also has clouds only and the true nature is Buddha nature. So point कहाँ है बात करने का किसी के बारे में? So the more we identify with our own true nature, that whatever comes as a dark cloud is overwhelming, but that's not who I truly am. Inherently, we are all good. Then we are all also able to extend that empathy to other people. Then there is no point to talk about other people. More empathy is there and more forgiveness is there, that गलतियां तो सबसे होती हैं, मेरे से भी तो होती हैं. Truly not anyone is bad. And Angulimal can become an a changed being, an arhat. He can attain nirvana after killing so many beings. Then हमारा भी scope है. Yes. So any last comments or reflections before we end on this passage? Anyone? All right, so let's take a moment of silence and before we end to share and dedicate all the goodness, all the merit from our side or from collected reflections and reading with all the sentient beings near and far. May we not suffer and may the causes of suffering be removed from us. May we all have true happiness, true inner happiness, and all the causes that lead to true happiness. Thank you.